So yeah, I'm Brian McCune. I'm the manager of musical content. Thank you all for tuning in.
My name is Paul Cross. I'm the director of design here for Studio San Francisco, Ubisoft. And thank you very much for being part of the Rocksmith family.
All right, so first off, I want to say congratulations, 1,000 songs. It's been a long time coming. It's been counting down, as you can see on the infographic, like by hundreds every few months. But how does the licensing process compare to when Rocksmith first started compared to now?
Absolute night and day. So when we first started trying to license music for Rocksmith, myself and Nick Bernardi went out on the road with our first prototype of the software. We went out to Toronto and to New York and LA, and we visited all the major publishers. We also visited some of the managers of different artists, including White Stripes management, and we showed them what we had. And the strange thing is, when we went into the room, like, people didn't care, quite frankly. We got a very similar reaction to some of the press, which was, "We don't believe you. Like, sure, people have said this kind of stuff, but that won't really work." They would be sat in this big meeting that's been arranged by Ubisoft. They have a good relationship, but they'd still be on their BlackBerries. This is 8 years ago, so they'd still be there on their BlackBerries and not really look up until we actually pulled the real guitar out of the bag and plugged it in. And next thing you know, you're playing real guitar through the speakers. And we had a couple of known songs that we were just using to prototype and just using internally. And when we showed the guys, they were shocked and awed, and they put their BlackBerries down, turned them off, and actually engaged. And we saw that turn around really, really fast. So it went from being this kind of, we don't know who you are, and we don't know what you want, and we don't know why you're telling us the same thing other people have said, to, oh my God, we love Rocksmith. What else can we do? So it's been a long journey, but an amazing one. As you say, 1,000 songs. It takes a lot of work for a lot of people to get 1,000 songs out.
Now, you're saying that it was tough at the beginning. Was it also tough because, as Ubisoft, you were up against stuff like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, where they had been, licensing music for guitar games for years, and then there's Ubisoft, who, for the most part, as far as a music game licensing, it was just for Just Dance. So were they kind of like hesitant to even listen?
Well, anyone who's seen Just Dance numbers is never going to be hesitant about moving forward there.
Right.
You got to remember, it was selling like hotcakes and
still is.
Ruled the roost, exactly. So our big challenge was explaining that we weren't making Rock Band or Guitar Hero, and explaining what the differences actually were. Because people, Guitar Hero and Rock Band, if you talk about party games, absolute number one. Like just Dance, like they would just put those in a room and put a little bit of social lubricants in there, and away you go. Amazing times. But for us, it's a completely different thing. We're making learning software. It just happens to be in the same places that you find Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and Just Dance. So that was actually it was a bigger challenge to explain the difference and get people to engage with the fact that not using stems was a big deal. So not separating the audio tracks, that was a big difference. And then getting people to engage with the idea that they're actually going to learn to play the guitar, and they wouldn't have to have prior knowledge to be able to get started.
Okay, so Paul, the Rocksmith One set list is a bit more eclectic. This is a bit of a heavier question compared to the 2014 one. But however, it seems like the songs you or your colleagues picked resonated with a lot of people. So looking back on that, do you think being somewhat of a tastemaker is more beneficial to Rocksmith than delivering the highest requested content to guarantee sales or guarantee the request app people are satisfied?
So I personally listen to a very eclectic mix, and I think that really came through a lot more on Rocksmith One. There were a lot of phone calls made on Rocksmith One asking about who could we get, and I spent a huge amount of time reading all the music press and looking at what were the new hot bands, and how could we capture the moment and what might be in the future? So I was really pleased to get stuff like Best Coast and the XX, and I saw a guy in an elevator in San Francisco wearing a Red Fang T-shirt a couple of days ago, which was awesome. I was wearing a Royal Blood T-shirt. So we talked about music for a few minutes, and it was just a nice moment. But as Rocksmith grew, I mean, we have more and more data. And one thing, when you say about the request app, yeah, our priority is really about pleasing the fans. We want to please the fans, and in the process also please ourselves. Like, we don't want to put things on there we think are inappropriate to the brand, but at the same time, the brand has grown beyond rock or metal, and now should be able to have a lot more pop, country, jazz, you name it. I mean, the popularity, I'm looking over at Brian here, popularity of our own Bucksmith shows that people don't just want the same old rock or pop. So I think moving forward, our ability to go back to doing more eclectic stuff grows, whilst also making sure that we fulfill those request app ideals. You want to talk a bit about Bucksmith, Brian?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was an idea I had from back in the Rocksmith 1 development days. I was like, I was so excited by the tool of Rocksmith that I come from a conservatory background, so I was like, this would be great for all of those, like, all the stuff that's been around for a long, long time, the stuff that people learn when they're learning, piano or violin or other instruments, and doing our own spin on it. And so I pitched it even back then, or we started talking about it. But thankfully, I think we were able to get it out within the first year of Rocksmith 2014. So I think it was actually right when Dan started, we were like, hey, we're doing this thing, we're making this thing, do you want to come film it? And so we had a lot of fun making that. But yeah, that was just a great opportunity for us to showcase also the talent that's on our staff here on the Rocksmith team. We have a great group of arrangers and performers and music educators, and I think it really came through, and the reception for Rocksmith was outstanding.
And that's an interesting point. So the relationship between game design and music composition is something that's really unique on Rocksmith. We have guys here who've never worked on video games, and we have guys here who have never done music.
Yeah.
And they contribute from both sides and have those discussions, and where they meet in the middle is what makes Rocksmith special, because it's not a product just for musicians, and it's not a product just for gamers. Mm-hmm. It's something for people to care about on a lot deeper level, and that's special.
So, Paul, when you started working on Rocksmith, you weren't a guitarist, but now, after 6 years, are you the type that will go into a guitar store now and kind of are trying to step away before you buy a new guitar?
Well, after I bought my fourth guitar, my wife banned me from guitar stores. So
I gotta say, the thing I actually almost wanted to answer for Paul on this one, because I joined this team back in November of 2010, and Paul had been playing for a year at that point, and where he was then versus where he is now. Now when I'll have him look at some of the DLC every now and then, or hey, check out this song, he'll start to pick things out himself. He's actually able to transcribe by ear just from playing Rocksmith, and that really blew my mind. How much Rocksmith has trained his ears as well. Aww. And his fingers.
Thanks, Brian.
Wow, that's high praise coming from you.
Yeah.
Compositional background. Now, this new infographic that you released in celebration of the 1,000th milestone, it details some top requested songs you licensed. Is there any story that you can share with a particular song from that top 10?
Oh, well, actually, I'll tell you something that stands out. I think about more than half of them were denied the first times we asked.
Absolutely true.
So
Yeah. Yeah, from Rocksmith. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, you asked the question earlier about what stands out. That stands out. You know, recently we released Beastie Boys and Coldplay and U2 and a lot of these bands that we were told 8 years ago that we wouldn't be able to get unless we threw excess amounts of money out there, not necessarily those specifically, but in general. But our plan all along was to have, and you would have heard me saying this, to have a self-sustaining business. Like Rocksmith isn't just a thing we release at Christmas and then that's it, abandon it in March, hence having 1,000 songs out there. It's something that we want to support, and I'm going to say forever. I mean, it's definitely indefinitely. And so that means when we haven't got a band yet, well, we're going to keep trying. Because a couple of years ago, if you'd said U2, we'd said, well, we've been told it's impossible. But we never said that. We said, we're going to keep trying until it happens. Yeah. And they're happening more and more and more.
Yeah. The other thing that stands out to me is that a lot of this stuff has been on our radar for such a long time, and we've asked for it, like you said, you know, or denied in the past or that kind of a thing. And so it's always like, as we see the clearances come in, we have to remember it's not just, you know, a one shot. We ask for a song and then it comes through. It is, the licensing has to research who owns it, and sometimes there's multiple people who own the masters, although that's kind of rare. So normally there's a master, and then there can be as many as 6 or 7 different publishers. So we are tracking tons and tons of different songs and their movement, and there are a lot of songs that are in a partially cleared state where we got the okay from one of the publishers and the master's clear, but we have this one last holdout. And so it will be that some of these songs will stay in this limbo state for a while, and then when that final clearance comes in, it's like it's a joyous occasion. I definitely remember that. I'm looking at the Stevie Ray Vaughan right now because that's one of those that we definitely wanted to get out. It just takes some time. It takes a lot of negotiation. It takes also education for these artists to understand what Rocksmith is all about and what separates us from other music games.
So the other thing is this top 10, and we can't really talk too much about sales, but I can tell you that it doesn't match the top 10 selling.
Yeah.
So you asked the question earlier about meeting request app versus putting up there what sells. Well, the thing is, if it's selling, then that's people's way of voting with their money. So there's definitely a sense of, well, we have to make sure we still fulfill those guys' wishes and gals' wishes, because otherwise, well, it's not fair on them just because they're not going onto the request app and requesting. Now, how we go about picking those songs that may not appear on the top 10 requested is about looking at charts and popularity in rock charts, in metal charts, in pop charts across the board, so that we have a better understanding of music and the sort of musical landscape of the world. Because although we do extremely well in the United States, we also sell all over the world.
We do,
because we believe in a global economy.
That's a good segue into a later question I had, which is there an artist that was highly requested that didn't sell as well as the fans would have expected?
You know, we don't want to get too specific on that.
Yes.
Yes is the answer to that. Yeah,
not the band. Yes.
Oh, correct. Correct. Yeah, that is something that we encounter often. So we do use the request app to help us inform what we want to request. But there are other factors as well, like Paul alluded to. But the one thing that I notice, because I go to the Rick Repeater probably every single day, just so you know, and I see the polls, and I'm looking at those polls in comparison to what's selling, and it doesn't always line up. And so when
buy more.
So buy more. There is but the thing is, the really engaged community doesn't always reflect how the entire Rocksmith community is behaving. Yes, exactly. And I'm sure you know that. And so that's a difficult thing to manage, because then there starts to become trends that you expect. Well, why don't they only release prog rock, because it seems like everyone really voted for Yes and Rush 2 and Dream Theater last year as like the best DLC of the year. Well, because maybe it's like that is what our hardcore audience loves, but then there is a silent majority of people out there.
The silent majority
That you wonder who these Rocksmith players are, but they might be behaving in a slightly different way. So without getting too much into the specifics of that.
So we have to collect our data from everywhere. That's really what it comes down to. And looking at there's a bigger picture of, say, the musical landscape. Mm-hmm. So that being said, if we can keep ticking off all the requested artists and requested songs, then we should be in a really good place, because most of the requests are pretty damn good.
But this is to say that the request app does inform what we ask for always.
Prioritization.
Absolutely.
Is there a song artist that surprised you how well it sold?
So I had to look this up because now we're at the point with 1,000 songs. It's like to keep track of all these songs, and I think I've been around for all 1,000. I know Paul has.
I'm old.
I know.
Like Logan.
No spoilers. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to see it on Thursday. Oh, he's old. That's the spoiler. Okay. All right. So there were a couple surprises for me. I think Imagine Dragons. I know that was a big.
Oh, we had arguments on that one.
We did, and obviously that had big numbers on the YouTube and
on the YouTube. What all the kids watching,
and on the Spotify's. But yeah, I just didn't know if that was going to translate to the Rocksmith audience, because that is a different kind of silent majority, a silent majority that doesn't maybe play Rocksmith. So
and I argued that they don't play Rocksmith because we don't have songs for them, and that's something that we actually want to change as well, and think broader. Mm-hmm. And this isn't, I mean, like, let me be clear about this. This isn't just a money thing. This is something that I believe, like, fundamentally, that listening to a variety of music, playing a variety of music is refreshing. Like you said, the first set list was Rocksmith 1 was an eclectic mix, and like some people ask, well, why did you put flat rate bands? Why did you put these lesser known bands? And like, why did you put these small guys alongside these great big guys? And for me, that was part of the magic, because when I listen to the radio, they just play me songs. I choose my station, sure, but on Monday I listen to Ozzy's Boneyard. On Tuesday I'm listening to Coffee House Radio. On Wednesday I'm listening to sports radio, and I'm mixing it up. It's just that's what's variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, and also every song that you love was once a brand new song that no one knew yet.
Yeah,
and so
indeed.
So they all start kind of from a similar place, and I agree with Paul.
We can't just release all the lithium playlists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with Paul 100% about variety being the spice of life and all that.
All right. Now, did you think when you started development on Rocksmith and put out that Boston, Freebird, and Radiohead singles pack, you'd be crossing 1,000 playable songs with Skid Row now?
It's funny because I spend most of my day looking at spreadsheets and things, and I'd started building one out, and for the DLC plan and that kind of thing. I was like, man, where are we going to be because that was back in 2011. I was like, where are we going to be in 2012? How big is this thing going to look in 2013, 2014? And we I can't believe that we're already at 1,000. I think Peter Mac, our technical lead, our technical director now, right? Yeah, he had asked me when we were building out 2014. He's like, "How big do you think the DLC library is going to get?" I was like, "I don't know.
It could be more than 200."
I was like, "I think lifetime maybe 1,000." He was like, "Cool. We'll prepare for a bit more than that then." He's like, "Because you just never know." And we've been very lucky that Rocksmith has been an evergreen product.
I mean, that was the idea. I mean, again, you said, did you ever, did you believe that would happen? And that's what we presented. We went to people and said, we're not gonna sell Ghost Recon numbers in its first week, but people are still going to want to learn guitar in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. How long has it been out now? 4 years?
We are in.
2014 has been out for 4 years.
Yeah, we are in year 4.
And and it's still selling, and people are still buying it, people are still playing it. We've continued to improve our data tracking so we can see the behaviors of players more without making it sound too creepy. Basically, we know like the amount people are playing songs and how well they're doing, so we can make adjustments and look at difficulty curves and continue to improve that experience, because this isn't a video game that you dispose of. This is a hobby. This is there's a term in the industry, I don't know how much is said outside of the industry, is games as a service. We're providing a service, a place to come and learn guitar that, as I say, it goes on indefinitely, because I don't know. I don't think I loved your kind words earlier, but I'm still learning, very much still learning to play guitar, and I will continue to learn with every new song that comes along, and it provides a new experience and a new style and something else special to be able to show off to my mum.
I think a lot of people don't even realize that when Rocksmith started, it was bi-weekly DLC, so they only had the opportunity to complain for 50% of the time.
No, they could complain the whole 14 days. But
that's true.
But the reality was we thought that was a lot.
Yeah, and at that time we had a smaller team of note trackers as well, and we were new at the process, so we weren't at the efficiency we're at now with how quickly we can make the content. So
that's that musicians meeting game, like, and understanding the and we talk about fun arrangements. How do you make sure that you capture the essence of the song, the thing that people are expecting to learn to play, and then balance that, because we have alternate arrangements, being able to capture the authentic, the technical side as well. And some of those things we're still learning about what the best way to make the experience is.
And we were still developing. We were building the ship as we were sailing. I mean, the note track level system was built and designed during development by a lot of the guys who had started around that time. And we were, if you remember, at the bi-weekly DLC time, that was Rocksmith 1, back when we were doing single note and combo arrangements, and even our tools weren't like totally as quick and efficient as they are now, because of people like Jason Kokel who make our jobs easier and better.
So, Brian, was there an artist that you didn't expect to resonate with you musically, that you came out with a greater appreciation for after working on their content?
We had talked about, Dan and I chatted about this very briefly right before the call. There were a few surprises for us. So one of them was, for me, was System of a Down, and I know they were very, they were very popular and that kind of thing, and they were in a kind of a lower tuning, and they exceeded my expectations in so many ways, because I didn't have the familiarity. I mean, really high musicianship, really great songwriting, really interesting. And also people really, really loved it. It was totally surprising to me. Another one that came out of nowhere for me was Volbeat, because that wasn't on my radar at all, because I know that Dan had mentioned this on the stream a few times. Just for all of us, for whatever reason, they're from the Netherlands or some.
I think they're from Denmark.
Denmark. Thank you. Somewhere with it. Yeah, I was thinking either Dutch or Danish or. Yes. Anyway, they're from somewhere in Europe, so that's not a part of the world that we're living here in America. But then I saw how much people really wanted to play it, and then when we started note tracking, I was like, this stuff is so cool and like really catchy, and it's totally its own thing. I really appreciate that, and I'll always have to give a shout out to Crowbot, which was. Like for our Rocksmith audience, like for our hardcore people, they totally get that this is like really awesome music for Rocksmith and the Rocksmith interface, and they weren't on our radar at all either. And I really enjoy their music.
What spurred the decision to revise the top 40 artist list for this infographic?
we just have more data now, basically. I mean, we had, I can't remember how many new requests it was just in 2016 alone. I think it was over 370,000. We're over 300,000 total. But yeah, we wanted to make sure that it was totally up to date and you guys knew, what's being requested and seeing what little interesting shifts are happening. Because as we release content, the requests for those artists actually kind of go down over time. So we don't see a lot of requests for Freebird, for example, because it's been out since the first DLC.
Well, if anyone does say it, then someone like Elliott jumps on them pretty fast.
And we appreciate that, Elliott.
Yeah, actually, like I'm seeing that Stevie Ray Vaughan is like off the top 40 now. I guess you nailed it with the 5-pack.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually something that's amazing. The internet can be a pretty scary place, and one of the things I'm actually most proud about, and this is a big thanks to Dan and Cece, but Dan in particular, and you, Elliott, and our supporters out in the internet world, which is our community is really, really good. They're generally nice to each other. They help each other. They want to make the world and the musical world, our Rocksmith world, a better place. Yeah. And I love that. That's something that I wish it could be like that more in general. But I'm really thankful for all the effort and being able to see, like, we saw a thread that went up, I think, on Reddit, just about sort of saying thanks Rocksmith, and somebody started just saying, I booted it up with a new DLC after I saw the 1,000 songs that I'm playing, and I realized what a job they've done. I couldn't play guitar before, and now I'm buying DLC and playing these songs that I never dreamt of, and that thread just ballooned. Yeah, and it brings a tear to my eye, honestly, because it's great. It's just so healthy and happy, and that's it's a much better place to be.
Yeah, I know that we do read that stuff. One of our note trackers, Travis, has actually gotten in the habit of every Monday grabbing one or two quotes from either Facebook or the forums and being like, hey, here's someone who's appreciating gratitude for the stuff that you guys are doing. And that really, really goes a long way. And I think that part of it has to do with that Rocksmith is always about growth and knowing that we're all growing and we're trying to become better. And so we're in that with you too. So
carry on, be excellent to each other.
Yeah, Bill and Ted.
Paul Cross, Esquire. But a lot of our conversation focused on the request app, and there are certain limitations with the current request app. Are there plans to introduce an updated version, possibly this year, next year?
Possibly this year, possibly very soon. This has been on our radar for a bit, and we're happy to say that there's been movement. It's in development right now, and we'll give you an update when there is a definitive update to give. But it is happening, and we will make it easier for you guys to request.
Instead it was in the request app, it's like song new request app by you guys. So yeah, top request.
Excellent. Well, I have one more question. Have you ever heard of this band called Metallica?
Yeah, they do Metallica night at the Giants. The Giants games.
I heard they're backing up Lady Gaga now. So maybe
maybe
I should get some of her stuff in.
Well, Lady Gaga numbers are pretty insane. That's true. You're right. So that's your request then, Lady Gaga. That's what I understood. That's what people hit. I've got a lot of nodding around the room. Yeah. There we go, guys.
I think Hailstorm does a pretty badass cover of Bad Romance, for the record.
Hailstorm available in the Rocksmith library.
Yeah. The thing is, we do see all the Metallica.
Hey, remember when we couldn't get U2?
Oh my goodness, we couldn't get U2. We wanted them for Rocksmith One disc.
It's like never say never, guys.
Or
that's what we live by. That's what die by, I guess. But keep going by. Again, that list in front of me. A lot of them have said no the first time. Some of them have said no the second and third times. And we will continue to flesh out our library. And as we march towards 2,000 songs, we're going to be figuring out how do we get these guys. That's all we want. Because remember, we want to play it too. You know, everything that I know about playing guitar is from Rocksmith. So if it ain't in Rocksmith, I'm not getting to learn it either. So trust me, when you ask me, I want them as much as you do.
All right, thanks so much for your time, and I hope that you enjoyed the conversation, and once again, congratulations on 1,000 songs, and here's to 1,000 more.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. This was Brian McCune, Manager of Musical Content, coming at you from Ubisoft San Francisco studio. Thanks for your support over all these years in Rocksmith.
So thanks for listening, folks. This has been fantastic. We love talking about Rocksmith. We love that you want to hear more about Rocksmith. Expect plenty more to be coming from our studio here in San Francisco. We love you. See you later.